Hello, this is Jackie B. Peterson, the author of Better, Smarter, Richer, 7 Business Principles for Solos, Creatives, and Encore Entrepreneurs. Welcome today. We are in the midst of getting ready to celebrate our Thanksgiving holiday, and it's so nice that you could join us today for a conversation. Before we start talking to our guest, I'd like to remind you of a couple things that Better, Smarter, Richer has coming up. We're going to do a free symposium. We're calling it How to Live Well Doing the Work That You Love, all about the principles of solopreneurship. That's going to be on December 3rd, next week, at the Portland Community College Climb Center. I'd love it if you can join us. It's got a great price. It's free, 6 to 9 p.m. Check my website, bettersmarterricher.com. And on January 6th, we will begin our next Better, Smarter, Richer study group. And again, that will be held at the Climb Center. So hopefully, if you haven't taken one of our study groups, you can join that one. And for those of you who are Better, Smarter, Richer study group alums, I want to remind you that on December 17th, we're going to have our Christmas, No-Host Christmas meetup. And again, you can check our calendar to see where that's going to be. And I'm thrilled to announce that we have added a new Better, Smarter, Richer facilitator. Her name is Bonnie Kahn. Bonnie has a great deal of history as a gallery owner and working with artists and as a business advisor, and I'm sure you would just love working with her. So got a lot of news, a lot of good things happening for us at Better, Smarter, Richer. So today, our guest is Veronica. She goes by Ronnie. Don't blame her. That's a wonderful name, Ronnie. Ronnie Noize. And Ronnie graduated from Coach U and has been a professional coach since 2000. She's been listed as Google's #1 marketing coach when you do organic searches since 2006. Boy, she knows how to do that. And she became the president of her local chapter of the International Coach Federation and was later named the first coach of the year. She used to be an instructor of the International Coach Academy and once led their marketing and sales coaching community. She's a leader all the way around. Ronnie has many other awards and accolades to her credit as well, and I hope we're going to be discussing those. Welcome, Ronnie Noize. Hi, Ronnie.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here today.
Oh, I'm thrilled that you are here. I've got many clients who have worked with you and are very thrilled to do so. They tell me that you give advice that is able to be followed, the things that they can do, and it's practical and realistic and makes a difference. So
that's great to hear.
Can't get better than that.
Yeah, you can.
So I'd like to learn more about you, and can you kind of tell us about your journey and what's your background and what led you to marketing and what led you to become a coach?
Well, sure. I didn't actually start my career, my professional career, my grown-up career, you might say, to be a marketer. As a matter of fact, I never took any marketing classes in college. I fully intended to be a rock and roll singer, and I played guitar. And I actually worked in the music business for a number of years. And then I ended up getting a job with a Japanese record label, and I was thinking I was going to do a little bit of PR because I was always really good at getting media coverage, and I ended up being the first director and then the vice president of international sales and marketing. And it was all so easy, but I was pretty sure that I was doing it wrong. But I was recruited for first one and then several other senior executive jobs in consumer products marketing. And all of this time, I had never taken a marketing class, ever. And as a matter of fact, I could not have given you the definition of marketing if you held a gun to my head, Jackie. But it was fun. It was super fun. I worked, as I mentioned, for an international record label, an artist management company, and then I also I worked for Dark Horse Comics, which is based here in the Portland area, out in Milwaukee. And then I was recruited by a magazine, and then I went to Wizards of the Coast, and you may be familiar with them. They're the folks who launched the Magic the Gathering card game and later purchased TSR, which is the Dungeons and Dragons folks.
Wow.
So I always sold, well, as I thought of it, is completely useless, overpriced items that nobody should want, but that people paid too much money for.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I really, really loved my work. And still, I didn't know what marketing was. But at one point, I was fired from my job for being mouthy, because I have my own opinions, and that hasn't always been welcome by a male boss to have his senior vice president of marketing, who's a blonde gal, challenge him. So anyway, I got fired from my last job, and I was immediately hired by the competition. But I decided to be a little bit smarter, and I decided to open my own company. And so I was a marketing consultant starting in, I want to say, 1996. And it was great. I had a number of clients and sold hundreds of millions of dollars in consumer products, and it was fantastic, and I loved it. But my husband didn't, because I traveled all the time. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to read an article on coaching and ended up going to a coaching school, which is a little over a year. And then in the year 2000, I opened my coaching practice and stopped being a consultant because I didn't want to travel that much. And so that's how I got into marketing coaching.
That is quite a story. So what is marketing?
So marketing, and I'm so glad that you asked, Jackie, because a lot of people don't understand. As a matter of fact, I just about blew a gasket this week because some gal wrote on Facebook that marketing was brochures. Oh. And I wanted to follow, and then she said social media was something else and PR was something. I was just like, oh, my God. So marketing is the exact art and subtle science of attracting, acquiring, and retaining great clients profitably. And
I love that.
Oh, thank you. And it doesn't have to be profitably, but I put that in there because I think it works better. But so
it does work better. That's what we're all about.
Yes, exactly. And
I mean, if it doesn't get you there profitably, why do it?
Exactly. And even if you're a nonprofit organization, you don't have to have profit per se, but if you have a little extra, that's great for capital investments and for reinvesting in the organization.
Yes. Oh, that's just wonderful. I'll be happy to put that up on the website because I like it. I don't know if you know, but when in Better, Smarter, Richer, when we talk about marketing, I say to people, you know, I've never had a marketing class, you know, like you, although I'm not a marketing coach. I've never had a marketing class either. In fact, by background, I'm a certified public accountant who, you know, if you tie them together, marketing and CPAs are quite often, you know, oil and water, you know, and don't mix very well. But what I have learned is that there's what I call the pillars of marketing. And one pillar is your message and, you know, what distinguishes you and, you know, who you are. And the other pillar of marketing, particularly for solopreneurs, is your target audience, okay? And then everything about marketing is getting that message to that audience. And, you know, people like to talk about it being brochures and PR and all that, but those are only tactics and methodology. The key is you have a message that you're delivering and you have a target that you are trying to deliver it to. And once you get those two set, then the, you know, how you deliver it is tactical, and you work and figure that out or get clues or take classes. But, you know, it's those two pillars that really matter. And so if people say to me, should I have a brochure, you know, the answer is, well, what are you trying to say and who are you trying to reach? And, I hadn't thought about that. You know, I just thought I'd have a brochure. And people get very confused about that, just like you saw the woman on Facebook, you know, marketing is a brochure. No.
Well, I absolutely agree with you, but I'd like to add one pillar.
Oh, I'd love it.
I call it the golden triangle.
Okay.
And it's market. So who is it who's ready, willing, and able to pay, stay, and refer? Who is it who is likely and motivated to purchase from you? That's your market. Number two, message. What do you have to say to capture their attention? What do you have to say when they ask why you? And then, the third pillar, the third corner of my golden triangle is media. What is the correct medium to deliver that message? And we use a lot of media. Sometimes it's us. Sometimes it's a brochure or social media or advertising. But a lot of times people choose their media based on what's cheap or what they know, but it isn't always going the right place. It's like if you're trying to go to New York, but it's cheaper to buy a ticket to Salem, you buy a ticket to Salem, and then you wonder, why the heck aren't you in New York?
Yes, that's so true, so true. And, you know, I'm delighted to be talking with you about this because it's really, you're such an expert in it. So one of the things I also tell people today when we're talking about marketing is that because invariably, when I'm teaching a class, people say, oh, I hate to market. And I say, well, wait a minute here. Aren't you enthusiastic and excited about what you do? Well, yes. And I said, so that's the first part, is that passion that you have for what you're doing. And secondly, sometimes we think that marketing is what we see, on television being done by McDonald's and Coca-Cola. And I want to remind you, the solopreneurs that I'm working with, particularly the encores, who may be supplementing their retirement rather than, making their work their total retirement, that what you need to do is surgical. You need to get your message to exactly the people who are most likely to buy from you. You don't have to, wallpaper the world like, because McDonald's and Coca-Cola are trying to sell to everybody on the planet. You're not trying to sell to everybody on the planet. You're trying to sell to the people who are looking for what you have to offer. And that's what we need to get clear about. And maybe in your solo practice, that's only 10 people a month. It's not 7.2 billion.
Right.
And that really makes them think about that differently.
Oh, absolutely, Jackie. And also I've noticed that people think of marketing in a negative way because we've had, as a culture, marketing shoved down our throats since the beginning of mass media in the past 60, 70 years. And so we've grown up with too many commercials and, interrupting our radio, our TV, our reading experiences, and all of these negative marketing things. And we think of sales, we think of a high-pressure person trying to make us buy something, or a telemarketer. Right. And what this is people are noticing the negative performance of that process. And I tell people that marketing is really like diet. And diet isn't a bad word. It's everything you eat. That's your diet. But most of us think of diet as a calorie-restrictive eating plan. And it can be. You can create a diet to restrict calories, or you can create a diet to add calories if you're underweight, like not many Americans are. But marketing is the same thing. It depends on how we use it. And if we're not using it in the positive way to bring our products and services to the attention of those people who most likely and most receptive to them and who will benefit from them, then we experience the hard sell, the negativity, and that resistance about marketing, because we feel like we're unwelcome pests. And marketing done right makes you an invited guest, because people will choose to respond, and you will attract rather than repel, and you will also attract rather than have to chase. So we are being chased by McDonald's and by Pepsi and many large consumer products like that. And it's up to us, I think, because we're on a much smaller scale, we need to focus on attraction. And it
I love
feels
that.
Very different.
And as you're talking, I'm thinking, Better, Smarter, Richer attracts so many of the creatives, because they almost have to operate as a solo, a person operates as a solo when they want to hands-on do the work that they love. And, I keep saying the minute that you hire employees to grow your business, you are no longer the person able to just spend the majority of your time doing what you love. Now you're going to spend your time managing, recruiting, motivating, training, blah, 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 your employees. But if instead you, use my Waterbug model and you build outsourced relationships with the people that you need, instead of them being your employees, you are their client. Relationship totally changes.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
What that means is now you get to spend the majority of your time doing what you love. And don't you want to talk about that? And here you are, an artist, and you create these beautiful things, fabulous paintings or wonderful ceramics or, just gorgeous creations of design, let's say in fabric or in clothing or, in interior rooms or places to be. And aren't you giving a gift to the people that find you of beauty, calm, support, just a